Hello team, and welcome to another video of Doing, Being, Becoming, where we aim to inform, impact, influence and inspire. I am Asisipo, your occupational therapist. Aristotle once said that we are the sum of our actions and therefore our habits make all the difference. And what are our habits but actions that we performed so many times that they become second nature now? We perform them by impulse. They become a tick, an automated response, and we don't even think about performing them. Instead, most of the time we find ourselves in the middle of those actions. Habits become habits because the more we perform an action, that strengthens the neural pathways, making us less reliable or responsible for the intentionality of that performance or action. Habits of themselves aren't good or bad, but rather the effects thereof can be perceived as such. And that is why you'll find someone trying to break a bad habit like overeating or smoking because it becomes too expensive, it is not sustainable, it has direct implications on one's health, and it affects their social ability. Therefore, in this video, we'll refer to healthy and unhealthy habits. Healthy habits being ones that contribute positively to your well-being and occupational performance, and unhealthy habits being ones that threaten your well-being and occupational performance. And I'm guessing that is why you clicked on this video, is because there are unhealthy habits that you would like to break. When we talk about breaking unhealthy habits, we immediately think of the Stages of Change model by Prochaska and De Clementis. This model assesses an individual's readiness to act on healthier behavior and provides the processes of change to guide the individual. The Stages of Change model is more correctly named the transtheoretical model, of which stages of change forms only one part of the model. This model is mostly used for substance use rehabilitation, but it can also be applied to other areas that require change or other unhealthy habits that would like to be broken. So what are the 6 stages? There are 6 stages, and what are they? The first stage is the precontemplative stage. Next is the contemplative, preparation, action, maintenance, and relapse. We're going to look at each stage a little bit more closely. The pre-contemplative stage, this is the stage where the individual doesn't see anything wrong with their actions and their habit. They don't see how it may affect their life, and if they do, they are in denial of this fact. This is mostly seen by other people highlighting or bringing the habit's danger to the person's awareness and then brushing it off or making excuses or thinking that they could stop whenever they would like to stop. In the contemplative stage is where the individual may then start to realize just how severe their habit may be, just how it may affect them and perhaps other people around themselves, and this is where they may be considering making the change. In the preparation stage, so the person has decided that they would like to make the required change, and now they are preparing to make that change. They are consolidating what that may mean, what that would look like, and the consequences basically of them changing this behavior. In the action stage is where the person takes the leap to change. They direct their focus and attention towards other things, and they put into place a plan that will help them to change their behavior. A very important part of this action stage is that when you're trying to break a habit, that it's important to replace it with another one. Another one. It's very important to replace it with another one. So take, for example, smoking as a habit. People who have tried to quit smoking have, been recommended to, in the time that you would smoke, rather drink coffee or have a sweet or drink water, because that's the best way to break a habit. The best way to break a neural pathway is to form a new one. So after the action stage becomes the maintenance stage, and this is the stage where the person is settled in the action. They've kind of gotten used to the adjustment of, moving from the one habit into this new one, and they're kind of at a place where they feel like, all right, I can do this. I've got a routine going on. If I continue like this, then we gonna be all right. We're going to be Gucci, we're going to be good. So after the maintenance stage comes the relapse stage, and this is normally where there are hiccups in the behavior, and maybe a person may go back to their previous habit or the previous behavior. It could be by accident, could be by misfortune, it could be a slip up that may not necessarily lead to a complete relapse, which is called a lapse. But what's important about every stage of this model is that it teaches the individual about themselves. It teaches them about their strengths, about their weaknesses, and especially about their triggers. And this is especially relevant in the relapse stage. Also, what's important is understanding that sometimes, yes, it's that the cycle may not be completed by the individual, that sometimes the relapse may come right after the action, before the action is able to be maintained. But that's just the basic idea of the model. So the relapse stage then becomes especially significant because it teaches the individual about their triggers, and this is something that the individual can reflect on, and going back to the action stage, they can then put into place strategies that will prevent another relapse. So the trick then to implementing an effective change is to put together a good action plan and being able to stick to it, but also not being too hard on yourself when you do face a lapse or a relapse, but rather taking in and understanding what that teaches you about yourself and being honest with yourself in that, what that teaches you about yourself, and then strengthening that action plan and putting into place further strategies and processes that will make sure that you maintain your changed behavior. If there is an unhealthy habit that you would like to break, ask yourself the following questions. What is the habit? How is it negatively affecting me or those around me? What could I possibly gain from making this reasonable change? What substitute can I put in place to help me break this unhealthy habit? And what strategies can I implement to help me make the reasonable change? And after considering all that is at stake, ask yourself this question: am I really ready to make that change? If you answered yes to the last question, then I wish you all the best making that change, and I applaud you for the courage to stand up against yourself. If it does get tough, which I'm sure it will, then revert back to the answers of the previous questions to keep you motivated and on track. Until the next video, O team, God bless.